The issue of the big brother in Mumbai is going to be our top focus here on the bulletin. We're inviting you also to go ahead, express your opinion. Should Mumbai officials have CCTVs put inside their offices for the sake of moral probity? Call on the numbers on your screen there. Share your thoughts, your views and your opinion. Well, first up, let's set it up nicely for you. Tell you what this is all about. Youths in Mumbai are up in arms against the city cops. The reason is that the city's police's recommendation to install CCTV cameras in pubs, bars, restaurants across Mumbai. Now, the fear is that this could well be a throwback to the Vasant Dhoble days when surprise raids of bars and pubs had become the norm. Many allege that the new recommendation is nothing but an attempt to encroach on their privacy. Further, owners as well feel that such daily surveillance will lead to a drop in business. Now, not only are the youths protesting the new move, they're also demanding that government bodies like the BMC, the Vidhan Sabha, be brought under CCTV surveillance. They allege that if cops can track what's going on in pubs, the public as well has the right to know what their representatives are doing for them.
Being a citizen, being a taxpayer of Mumbai, we are asking our authorities to place CCTV cameras in the BMC, in the Vidhan Sabha, wherein our ministers and our law-abiding citizens are working, and we also want to have a look what they are doing inside there. Like there are potholes in Mumbai. The past 20 years we're just reading in our books that Mumbai is developing. When will it get developed? There are diseases coming in. There is everything going haywire, but there is no watch and no such mandatory causes on such authorities as well. So why on us? Why on, like the youth of Mumbai?
I'm right outside the civic body headquarters in Mumbai. This is the magnificent Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation building. Here all the corporators and the officials take the policy decisions with regards to the civic affairs of the city. Now imagine this, a giant screen somewhere in this very area showcasing whatever the corporators and officials are up to. Would that be considered as an intrusion in privacy? A certain youth wing in Mumbai certainly demands so. They maintain that in a democracy, they should have the right to know what the chosen corporators and the officials in the higher seats of power are up to. They maintain there are many problems in the city. Potholes galore throughout the year. The latest menace of dengue. Development, well, the name has only been there, but the development has not been there. So what is plaguing this city? What is plaguing this beautiful city? In a democracy, they should have the right to know everything about the chosen people. They maintain that if you are ready to place CCTV cameras inside pubs and restaurants and want to know what the youth is up to, in a democracy, they should also have the right to know what these officials and the corporators are up to. We wonder, what does the BMC officials have to say on this?
Well, another trigger for this latest recommendation is a raid which happened at a South Mumbai pub last month. Around 200 people were detained during these raids. Many of the detained were actually girls as well. The cops alleged that the revelers were taking drugs at this party, but most of them detained were then later let off. The incident was a huge loss of face for the city police, especially after Vasant Dhoble. Now, the cop who hit headlines for crackdown against pubs and restaurants as is in the capability and the capacity of an ACP. Now, armed with a hockey stick and camera, he would raid pubs, detain customers and staff as well. Many allege that his crackdowns curtailed Mumbai's famous nightlife. There were, however, supporters of Dhoble as well, especially those living near these pubs and bars. Alright, Shaina NC, well, member of the BJP's national executive, of course, a prominent Mumbaiker as well, joining us on the show. Appreciate you joining us, ma'am, and really taking us through what you make of the situation. But I want to put the first question to a Mumbaiker, the average Joe who lives in the city, and what he makes of this entire situation. Jay is with us. Just give us a sense, Jay, of what you think of this idea of having CCTVs monitor what you're up to in a pub or a bar that you might be visiting.
Hello.
Jay, go on.
Hello.
Go on.
See, I'm Jay calling from Bangalore. Hello.
Go on, Jay, we can hear you.
Yeah, see, this is a totally attack on our privacy. This is too much. If they don't know how to control that crime, then better to resign all the officers.
All right.
They are saying because of this eye teasing. Eye teasing is that then you punish them. They can't enter in our privacy.
All right, so don't interfere with our privacy, says Jay. Kailash from Mumbai also with us. Kailash, are you okay with the idea of CCTVs monitoring what you're doing?
Absolutely. See, this is for our security. See, not only security, you don't know what's going on in Mumbai, you know. There are lots of drug parties and these are things, everything is going on.
Okay.
So we should actually support the honest efforts being made by the police department. We should not run campaign against them.
Okay.
In fact, even during during hopeless days, parents of Mumbai were very happy that the kids were never going late nights and indulging in all sorts of nonsense activities. So we should support police efforts, you know. It's an honest effort to control crime, you know.
It's an honest effort, says Kailash. Shaina, and say your thoughts now. This really sets it up nicely. You've got two, varying opinions from a caller from Bangalore, very much again known for, its pub culture as well, the way they socialize. Mumbai, of course, in the eye of the storm. Your thoughts first up on what you make of this new recommendation.
I'd like to say that there's no black and white answer to the question you've raised. Clearly, there are many questions where parents are worried about children who go to pubs where there are drugs being sold, where there is a prostitution racket, etc. So in that sense, CCTVs clearly turn as a deterrent. Having said that, when one viewed Mr. Dhoble's going into a pub, also for the police it's a check, because if the police goes in and uses hockey sticks or, uses pressure, clearly you can see that even they would be under check. Having said that, are CCTVs the only solution? Clearly not, because we've seen that, CCTVs at hospitals, you've had little kids disappear despite the CCTVs. We've had CCTVs at VT station post 2611 and there itself we've seen lots of kind of, dubious activities going on. So I don't think CCTVs are the only solution. But in cases where there are atrocities happening against women or illegal activities, clearly it works as a deterrent. But having said that, I don't think our Home Department or our Mumbai police have been terribly proactive in the past. So I think a lot of it depends on their action and the footage that they use to the best of their ability, rather than just using a little bit to serve their purpose.
Well, Shaina and they're making an important point. There can't be any one solution to this entire, problem, as it were. This is not so much about, doing what you're doing or invading your privacy, as it is to, in fact, ensure that you're safe as well. Parents are safe, like one of the viewers also called in and said. Vijayna from Raipur also joins us. We'll try and get another caller. But Shaina, when you look at this entire perspective as well, I mean, you look at, countries in the West, and not just pubs or other, official buildings. You'll have streets as well, being monitored by CCTV on everywhere you go, on local malls and any store you walk into. But there has to be a balance as well. You can't have, like you're saying, a police official walk in with a hockey stick in camera and go on, taking on the customers, taking on, the law onto himself as well.
No, I'm clearly not suggesting any kind of moral policing.
True.
I am very clear of the opinion, all of us as Mumbaikars go out and we enjoy Mumbai nightlife. There's no question mark there. The question mark is if there is a menace of drugs, if there is the menace of your children getting into a prostitution racket, or if there are all these so-called social evils which need to be monitored, and if it can happen through CCTVs, then of course the larger question, which is of terrorism, where you have so many cases in Mumbai, or for that matter in all the metros, where, just because of lack of information or lack of CCTVs and surveillance, you have not been able to find out who the culprits are. But as I said, the most important role that the state government needs to clearly adhere to is to have a police that acts in a free, fair and prompt manner, which is not seeming to be the case. A home department that is proactive, which is not seeming to be the case. And of course, fast track courts for cases where you have seen whether there are people who are connected to terror activities who enter pubs, or whether there is the drug mafia that is entering pubs. I think these are the more crucial questions. And as I said, the CCTVs will not just act as a deterrent to the person who's going to the pub, but also to the authorities who sometimes take the power that they have and misuse it. So let's view it as a society as a positive step, but holistically.
But Shana, if you were to flip the argument here, I mean, some of the youth activists, coming together and saying, also place CCTV cameras, in government officials. Put a camera in the BMC office, see what our representatives are doing.
I think that's a great suggestion. I think that's a great suggestion, and in fact I would say not even there, maybe even Parliament and assemblies and the BMC as well, because you want to make sure that your representatives are performing, and if they are, then how they're utilizing the time that we send them to a particular house, or for that matter if we're sending them to the assembly, or for that matter even to the BMC. I think we need to know as citizens whether who's performing, who is not, who's sleeping, who's not. So I think it's a great idea, and why not? But having said that, of course, one needs to look into the cost aspects, and in an area of priority, it will clearly be public places which have terror activities or drug menace.
All right, Rishikesh from Hyderabad also joins us. Rishikesh, your thoughts? Are you okay being monitored? You think this will make a difference to your security?
Sorry?
You think being monitored on CCTV will make a difference to your security?
Not so much, because I think privacy is something which is there, which shouldn't be under scanner of CCTVs and all these things. Okay, certainly I feel that in certain places it is okay, fine, but it would if it is to be implemented, it should be implemented everywhere. As what Shaina was saying, that yeah, fine, in certain places it should be implemented, and even if it's implemented, what kind of impact it will have on individuals. So I totally agree with her and say that how much impact it will have, because authorities will take, I don't know, whatever from there. And if it is to be implemented, we also need, as an individual, what I feel, if it is to be implemented in a hotel or a restaurant, certainly we also, as a common person, as in a democratic country, I would like to know what's happening in the parliament, or what's happening in the government official organizations. Now, CCTV cameras were at a CST station also when Kasab was caught. Now, what has the government done? Kasab is still there. Okay, fine. 3 years down the time.
So the sense is, don't just keep us being monitored from CCTV cameras. Also turn these cameras onto yourself, into the government officials, and see what they're up to as well. The taxpayer wants to know. Nathan from Chennai also joins us. Go ahead, sir. Your thoughts on what needs to be done?
Yeah, this is Nathan from Chennai. I just am totally for having a CCTV coverage of all the pubs and bars. Rather, I would suggest that every pubs and bars around 40 to 50, which is being frequented by elites, who I think there should be some police invigilation. What happens as soon as after they are through with their drinks, they come out and then go hit somebody and go. So what I feel is you should if you have the surveillance right at the root cause. So it is better to put CCTV. Second thing, have a police surveillance in and around the bar. See if they are driving, after having a drink, they are driving. So the thing should be nipped up at the butt, that is at the bar level only. So that they don't drive cars after having a drink.
Alright, so monitor the situation as closely as possible. Uday from Delhi also with us. Uday, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to say that it is a very good step, and I think we need to support these steps which the police people are taking, and it doesn't invade into your privacy or something like that. It is a very good step, and instead of criticizing, everyone should be welcoming this step.
All right, Shaina, let's give you the closing sort of word, the last word on the situation, because clearly it seems that everyone is very sensitive to the negatives as well of what really can happen, but most certainly there's a need of balance as well.
Clearly, I think the balance is very, very imperative. But having said that, I'd just like to cite 2 examples. A lot of times when even girls or ladies go to the pub and want to have a good time, there are cases of eve teasing there too. And sometimes you don't have the guts to take on the culprit, and sometimes there's no footage to prove who it was. So even in cases like that, which is security towards women or empowered women, if you'd like to call them, who go out at night, I think CCTVs work as a good deterrent. Second is that a lot of cases of drinking and driving, where you have a lot of our youngsters who do drink and drive, and when one knows what happens as an outcome of rash driving, where you have innocent people being killed, CCTVs again work as a deterrent, because you know that immediately you would be able to find out who is the drunk driver. I think we don't need to view everything as invasion of our privacy.
True.
We live in a social society, and in society, I think the majority who benefits out of a given should always be looked at or taken into consideration. So that would be my point. Very rational, and I hope that very acceptable.
Absolutely. I mean, and, I just want to build on what you're saying here as well. But there are concerns, which are raised by, say, people who own these facilities, these pubs and bars, who are saying that perhaps there should be, someone else monitoring the CCTV footage, because the cops were actually, recording all of this. There have been instances in Mumbai itself where you've had, those, who had the power, they've perhaps gone ahead and misused it. Something which, local shop owners have often, captured on camera as well, approached the Home Ministry asking for action to be taken against, various officials. You think that perhaps there should be another body, who's overseeing, playing the third person's role in this situation?
It's a great suggestion, but the question again that arises is how do you implement and who monitors the content? I think it's the police we have to repose faith in them, and I hope that the Mumbai police will not let us down in situations such as this, where black comes out as black and white as white and not tampered with. It's a hope that every Mumbaiker has, and I think on a positive note, let's think of this as a solution rather than constantly focusing only on the problems prevalent in society.
Well, let's leave it at that. Shaina NC, thanks very much for joining us with your input on the story, as of course a prominent Mumbaikar, of course, today, and really taking on this forward as well, drawing the positives from this recommendation, and let's just see if it can actually go ahead and yield results on the ground as well.